"Mommy, wake up! They're going to raid our home!" Tears streamed down Lee Nanko's pale little face. Her voice was choked with fear as she shook her sleeping mother, Song Yi. Song Yi's eyes fluttered open with the drowsy grace of a waking beauty. "Keiki, did you have another nightmare? Don't be scared. Mommy's here. Dreams are just dreams. They can't come true." Lee Nanko's shoulders shuddered with sobs. Hearing her mother's words, her tiny body trembled. No, the dream is real. She'd dreamt that her world was actually a novel called after a fiancé swap, I Lived My Best Life. The heroine of the book was her aunt, Song Hui. In her first life, her aunt had used her father's doting nature to marry the heir of the Marquis of Anping, only to die in exile after his family's assets were seized. Meanwhile, her own mother, Song Yi, had married a poor scholar and became the wife of the prime minister, living a life of glory. But then her aunt was reborn. On the day they were to choose their fiancés, her aunt didn't hesitate to switch, marrying the poor scholar herself. That meant her mother was forced to marry the Marquis' son, becoming the cautionary tale in her aunt's new, glorious life, a life that ended in a raid, exile, abuse, and a miserable death. In the novel, Nanko was only 8 when the Marquis' manor was raided and the whole family was exiled to the remote region of Qianzhou. On the first day of their exile, their rations were withheld, and they were forced to kneel and were brutally beaten. On the second day, her grandmother was beaten to death trying to protect her, her blood soaking Nanko's clothes. On the third day, the vile guards set their sights on her mother. They dragged her into the bushes. Her father, a man who had always been a carefree playboy, fought them like a madman, but was beaten half to death. In the end, her mother couldn't bear the humiliation and took her own life. And Nanko herself was sold to a brothel by the guards who had been paid off. She hadn't believed it at first, but her dreams had started coming true. First, she dreamt that her grandmother's beloved cat suddenly died. The next day, it was dead. Then she dreamt that days of heavy rain caused the lake at their manor to overflow, flooding the back garden and washing up a ton of fish. That happened too. Dawn was breaking. She could almost hear the rhythmic march of the Imperial Guard. "There's no time!" "By order of Prince Xuan, we are here to seize the manor's assets. Everyone out now!" With a sharp command, the gates of the Marquis of Anping's manor were thrown open. Soon everyone was herded into a side hall in the front courtyard. The eunuch delivering the edict whispered something to the person inside the sedan chair. A moment later, a single word, cold as a blade, came from within. "Seize." Lee Nanko huddled in her mother's arms, her round pale face scrunched in worry. Everything was happening exactly as it had in her dream. Her father was an official in the Ministry of Revenue, in charge of its warehouses. Someone had reported him for taking bribes and accepting substandard tribute goods into the state treasury. In the Chu dynasty, corruption could lead to anything from the seizure of assets and exile to beheading. No, I have to figure out a way out of this. Before she could form a plan, she heard her grandfather, the Marquis of Anping, roaring, "Where is that disgrace of a son?" Song Yi clutched her daughter, her hands trembling and tears falling like broken pearls. "Father is probably at the censorate. The censorate investigated the case and reported to His Majesty, which is why they're here now," a clear, childish voice said. The Marquis of Anping turned and saw it was Lee Nanko who had spoken. He scowled. "Shoo! What does a little kid know? Go stand aside and don't get in the way." But her words sparked a memory. He lowered his voice and asked Song Yi, "I remember your sister's husband was transferred to the censorate, wasn't he?" Song Yi, lost in her grief, took a moment before nodding blankly. The Marquis whispered urgently, "Write him a letter asking for help. I'll have someone clever sneak out through the doggy door in the back and deliver it. Your brother-in-law is an imperial censor. If he can pull some strings, we might have a chance." Song Yi's eyes lit up as if she'd found a lifeline. "You're right. My sister, Song Hui, has always been so good to me, and her husband's mentor is the Prime Minister. If they help, my husband will be fine." "Make sure you state clearly in the letter," the Marquis instructed, "that if they can help us, we will be eternally grateful and reward them handsomely." Song Yi nodded. "My sister and her husband are wonderful people. They'll find a way to help us. I'll write it right now." Lee Nanko threw her arms around Song Yi's legs. "Mommy, you can't write to Auntie." In her dream, it was that very letter that had sealed their fate and led to their exile. "KK, don't cause trouble. This is the only way to save our family," Song Yi said, her voice laced with anxiety. But she still took a moment to explain. Nanko looked up at her mother, her small hands trembling as she held her mother's. "The ones who framed Daddy for corruption were Auntie and Uncle." "Auntie has always been jealous of you. After she was reborn and switched fiancés, she wasn't happy that Uncle was just a minor official, so she convinced him to report Daddy." In her dream, after her uncle received the letter, he had presented it directly to the emperor. The line about being eternally grateful and reward them handsomely was twisted into concrete proof of bribery. The emperor, in a rage, ordered the entire family exiled to Qianzhou. Her uncle, for his righteous act of turning in his own family, was promoted 2 ranks and transferred from the censorate to the prestigious Ministry of Personnel. She couldn't let her uncle climb the ladder over the bodies of her family. The first step to saving them was stopping her mother from writing that letter. Nanko tugged on Song Yi's hand, gesturing for her to lean down. She stood on her tiptoes and whispered, "Mommy, haven't my dreams been coming true?" Song Yi's face went white. She remembered her daughter crying about a dream of a raid just before the Imperial Guard arrived. In the blink of an eye, it had happened. Nanko continued in a hushed voice. "In my dream, I also saw Uncle give the letter you wrote to the Emperor. The Emperor got so angry he exiled our whole family. We can't write that letter." A shiver ran through Song Yi, her face paled. As she clutched Nanko's hand, her expression wavering. "Could you be mistaken? Your aunt has always been so good to me, and your uncle is a kind and righteous man. How could they not help us?" Seeing that her mother was no longer saying dreams are fake, but was merely hesitating, Nanko decided to press her advantage. "In my dream, I met a very kind goddess. She's the one who told me all this, and a goddess would never be wrong." Song Yi was a devout Buddhist. The moment she heard goddess, the brush in her hand froze. The Marquis of Anping was growing impatient. "What are you dawdling for? Write the letter." Song Yi hesitated, wondering if she should tell her father-in-law about her daughter's dream. Nanko spoke first. "A few days ago when Uncle came to visit, he really liked one of Daddy's rare paintings, but Daddy wouldn't part with it. Uncle was so angry when he left. If we ask him for help now, I'm afraid he won't do it. Besides, I believe Daddy didn't take any bribes. Someone must have framed him. If we send a letter begging for help, it will just make us look guilty." Song Yi nodded in agreement. "Father-in-law Keiki has a point." The Marquis scowled. "It's just a painting. Your brother-in-law is a talented and broad-minded man. Do you really think he's that petty? And stop saying that disgrace was framed. Why would someone frame him and not someone else?" Though her voice was timid, Song Yi's stance was firm. "Father-in-law, I believe Keiki is right." The Marquis's thick eyebrows shot up, his face turning livid. "This is absurd. If you won't write, I will." "Whether he can help or not, at least writing the letter gives us some hope. Are we supposed to just sit here and wait to die?" The Marquis was an impatient man. He shoved Li Nanko aside from the desk. Nanko stumbled and fell to the floor. "KK!" Song Yi cried, her face pale as she rushed to help her daughter up. "Are you hurt?" Nanko shook her head obediently. She saw her grandfather had already picked up a brush and was writing furiously. She knew he was stubborn and hot-headed. Once he made up his mind, no one could change it. If that letter got out, her father's fate would be sealed. Seeing the Marquis finish the letter, tuck it into his robe, and head for the back window. To find someone to deliver it? Nanko's eyes darted around. She cupped her hands around her mouth, took a deep breath, and shouted in a voice that echoed through the hall, "Grandpa! There are no guards at the back window! Quick, run!" A guard at the door strode in, drew his saber, and roared at the Marquis, who was halfway out the window. "What do you think you're doing? Get back here!" "Send a few more men to guard the back window." Their only escape route was now blocked. The Marquis retreated, his face grim. He turned and aimed a vicious kick at Li Nanko. "You little brat." Nanko seemed to have anticipated it. She dodged backward, hiding behind the guard and clinging to his uniform. She put on her most terrified face. "Sir, save me!" The guard, a man with a full beard, frowned and looked down at the little girl. So cute, but what a dummy. The old Marquis was clearly trying to sneak out for help, and his own granddaughter had blurted it out for everyone to hear. The bearded guard sighed, then held his saber out to block the Marquis. "Sit down and behave. Any more trouble and I won't be so polite." The Marquis shot Nanko a venomous glare. "You wretched girl! If this family suffers because of you and your father, I'll be the first to beat you to death." Nanko secretly rolled her eyes. As long as we don't ask Uncle for help, there's still a chance for Daddy. Songyi's eyes lit up when she saw her daughter. She pulled Nanko into her arms and asked urgently, "Quick, tell me, did the goddess give you any other advice on how to save us?" In her dream, the family had been exiled, so she hadn't succeeded. But that didn't mean there wasn't a chance this time. Nanko looked up at her mother, her expression serious. "Mommy, do you believe Daddy took bribes?" Songyi shook her head instinctively. "Your father is a man of simple tastes. He's always seen money as filth. How could he take bribes?" Nanko's face was earnest. His Majesty only ordered a raid for now. He's probably waiting for the results before deciding on a punishment. Since Daddy didn't take any bribes, they won't find any illicit money or goods, right? Songyi's eyes brightened. She looked at her daughter, a little stunned. This child was usually so playful and mischievous, always whining and throwing tantrums. But now she was speaking with such clear logic, as if she were a different person. It had to be the goddess's guidance. Nanko turned to a nearby desk, picked up a brush, and wrote 2 words on a piece of paper. After blowing the ink dry, she folded the paper, handed it to Songyi, and whispered a few words in her ear. Songyi's expression changed. She glanced at the large crimson sedan chair in the courtyard. This was also the goddess's idea? Nanko nodded with complete certainty. Inside that chair sat Prince Xuan, the emperor's youngest and only full-blooded brother. The emperor doted on him endlessly. The prince was only 12. Yet the emperor had already given him command of the 50,000-strong imperial guard. Rumor had it the emperor planned to make him his successor. Remembering the events of her dream, Nanko whispered, "Mommy, if we want to save Daddy and our family, Prince Xuan is our only hope." Hearing the words "only hope," Songyi shivered. Pushing down her fear, she stood up, walked to the door, and handed the folded paper to the bearded guard. "Please present this to His Highness." The guard was instantly suspicious. "Don't even think about bribing our prince." Songyi quickly waved her hands, repeating what her daughter had told her to say. "It's not a bribe. It contains something His Highness is very interested in." The guard's expression hardened. He took the note and grunted, "Wait here," before turning and walking toward the sedan chair. The Marquis of Anping jumped to his feet, wanting to scream at Songyi but not daring to raise his voice. He hissed, "You fool! Prince Xuan is ruthless and cruel. Just last month he ordered the execution of Censor Liu and his entire clan." Suddenly, a flurry of torn paper fluttered out of the sedan chair, scattering on the ground like snowflakes. Songyi saw the shredded note and her face went ashen. Nanko frowned, her little face wrinkled with worry. Did I write too little? Did he not understand? The Marquis's face was grim. "See? What did I tell you? You think Prince Xuan is going to save us? Li Nanko, don't think I don't know this was your idea. You're just like your worthless father. You're going to get us all killed. I'll beat you to death right now as an apology to the prince. Father-in-law, if you want to hit or yell at someone, do it to me. Don't scare Kiki," Songyi cried, holding her daughter tight. The Marquis glared at them, a vein throbbing in his forehead. "You two made this mess. You clean it up. If you can't, I'll kill this little brat myself." "What's all the shouting?" the bearded guard snapped. The Marquis jumped. "That letter, it was their idea. It has nothing to do with the rest of us." "Sir, does the prince want to see my mother?" Nanko asked, looking up at the guard, her round eyes full of hope. The bearded guard looked down into her bright, clear eyes and thought, maybe this kid isn't such a dummy after all. He shot a look at the Marquis and nodded. "His Highness has summoned Lady Song." The Marquis scoffed. "I told you the prince would never—" His words caught in his throat as he processed what the guard had said. "What? The prince wants to see you?" He was so shocked he nearly bit his tongue. Prince Xuan wanted to see her? He must have summoned her to punish her himself. The Marquise's eyes narrowed. Go and apologize to His Highness, and don't you dare drag the rest of us down with you. The moment Song Yi heard Prince Xuan wanted to see her, she felt her knees go weak. Nanko knew her mother was terrified, but she had to go with her. She would have preferred to talk to the prince herself, but she was only 8. No one would take the word of an 8-year-old seriously. She looked up at the bearded guard, grinning to show her neat little teeth and the dimples in her cheeks. Sir, can I go with my mommy? Please, sir? I'll be really good. I won't talk or cause any trouble. She looked so adorable that the guard felt a pang of pity. It's just a little girl. The prince probably won't mind. Let's go. Thank you, sir. You're such a nice person. Good things will happen to you. Nanko's eyes lit up. She took Song Yi's hand. Mommy, let's go. We shouldn't keep the prince waiting. She tugged her mother down and whispered again, Mommy, remember what I told you. Saving Daddy depends on you now. Song Yi lifted the curtain and stepped into the sedan chair. A massive dog suddenly shot up onto its front paws, fur bristling, and leaped at them. Ah! Song Yi screamed and collapsed, instinctively pulling Nanko into her arms to shield her with her back. But the dog was impossibly fast. It pinned Song Yi's arm with one giant paw and pushed its head right against Nanko. The next second, however, the ferocious beast began rubbing its head against Nanko's face, its eyes narrowing into happy slits. A cold voice cut through the air. The young boy reclining on a small couch spoke with a murderous edge. Shuiying! Zhuang let out a soft whine and reluctantly pulled its head back, flopping dejectedly onto the floor. The boy snorted. Any more of that, and he gets no meat for 2 days. Shuiying whimpered again, a low, mournful sound. The bearded guard couldn't help but glance at Nanko, who was kneeling on the floor. What terrible luck. Why did she have to provoke Shuiying? The dog never got close to anyone but the prince. This sudden affection meant she must have done something to trick it. The prince was probably going to kill her. Nanko was secretly studying the young boy on the couch. Prince Xuan, Shen Kong, was 12 years old, an age when most boys were full of energy. But he was wrapped in a thick white fox fur cloak, and there was no life in him at all. In her dream, when Shen Kong had bought her from the brothel, she had already been a teenager. He had been nearly 20 then, and he had seemed even colder and more violent than he did now. Yet in the end, this same man had died a horrible death for her sake. A strange sadness welled up inside her. She quickly lowered her eyes and nudged her mother. Your Highness, I wish to... Bargain with me? Ask me to save your family? Shen Kong cut her off. I don't save useless people. However, if you agree to one condition, I might give you a chance. Not just one condition, Your Highness. 10, 100, anything as long as you can save my husband and my family, Song Yi stammered. Shen Kong's pale lips curved into a cruel, bloodthirsty smile. Shuiying's favorite food was rich, tender meat. His gaze landed on Nanko's smooth little face. Song Yi crumpled to the floor, the tears she'd been holding back finally spilling over. Use my flesh. As long as Your Highness saves my husband, I am willing to be fed to your dog. A flicker of impatience crossed Shen Kong's eyes. You can't bear to part with the child? Then get out. I'll do it. I'll feed Shuiying. As long as Your Highness will clear my father's name. Nanko suddenly spoke up. Her voice was childish but clear and firm. Shen Kong's eyes narrowed, a strange light glinting within them. You're not afraid, little girl? Kike, no! Song Yi wrapped her arms tightly around her daughter and tried to crawl toward the exit. We'll find another way. There has to be another way. She would rather die herself than let her daughter be harmed. Nanko wriggled her head free and wiped the tears from her mother's face. Don't be scared, Mommy. Didn't the prince just say Shuiying can't have meat for 2 days? That means I get to live for at least 2 more days. An idea sparked in Song Yi's mind. She saw her daughter, with her back to the prince, give her a quick wink and whisper, Mommy, just agree for now. I have a plan. Song Yi hesitated. This was Prince Xuan, the man who killed without blinking. She couldn't gamble with her daughter's life. Nanko spoke up again, her voice bright. 2 days is more than enough time for Your Highness to investigate Daddy's case. You're so brilliant, You could probably solve it in a day. No, half a day.
Shenkung's ears twitched. A soft scoff escaped his throat. Childish. Did she really think flattery would work on him?
Nanko, after calming her mother, turned back to Shen Kong. We've agreed to your condition, so you'll keep your word and give us a chance, right? She didn't know why her letter hadn't worked, but now that Shen Kong was willing to talk, she had to seize this opportunity. The little brat actually found a loophole in his words. He was curious to see how she planned to solve the dog feeding problem in 2 days. Shen Kong snorted and slowly sat up. The censorate has conclusive evidence and witness testimony in Li Mu's corruption case. Why do you think he was framed? Did you read it in his face? Nanko puffed out her cheeks. The prince was so infuriating, but now wasn't the time to be angry. She tugged on Song Yi's hand. Mommy, didn't you say you had a way to prove Daddy was framed? Song Yi's voice trembled. The handwriting! Your Highness can compare the handwriting! Shen Kong's brow furrowed. Is that it? Foolish. Before issuing the order, His Majesty had the censorate verify the warehouse ledgers. They bear Li Mu's signature, and it matches the sign-in sheets at the ministry. I've given you your chance. If you have no other evidence, get out. Song Yi was paralyzed with fear, her legs weak and tears streaming down her face. She was always like this. Whenever she was scared, she would cry uncontrollably, unable to speak a word. Don't be scared, Mommy. Nanko straightened up and wrapped her arms around Song Yi's neck, whispering a few more words in her ear. Her daughter's voice was like a pillar of strength, cutting through the fog of her tears. Song Yi quickly untied the pouch at her waist and, with trembling hands, pulled something out. My husband has always been a romantic. This is a love poem he wrote for me 8 years ago. If your Highness compares this to the handwriting from the ministry, you will surely see the difference. Nanko watched Shen Kong's face. Though he looked impatient, his eyes flickered toward the paper in her mother's hand. She quickly took the poem and stepped forward to present it to him. Shen Kong picked up the paper with 2 long, elegant fingers. His sharp brows rose slightly. He called out, Erfang, halt the seizure for now. Leave some men here to stand guard. Then his gaze fell on Nanko. Still here? Nanko's eyes lit up. She quickly pulled her mother. Mommy, let's go. Just as they stepped out of the sedan chair, Shen Kong's icy voice stopped them. Wait. She froze and turned back. Shen Kong studied her, his dark eyes devoid of any warmth. In 2 days, I will send someone to pick you up. Make sure you're clean. My Zhuoying prefers clean meat. Nanko grinned, her dimples appearing. You got it! When Nanko and Song Yi returned unharmed, the Marquis of Anping nearly leaped out of his chair. The prince didn't kill you? How is that possible? What did he say? Did he agree to save us? Song Yi wiped her tears and nodded. I think he agreed. What do you mean you think he agreed? Couldn't you have asked for a clear answer? Go back and ask him when he's going to let us go, the Marquis roared. Nanko pointed to the sedan chair outside. The prince hasn't left yet. Why don't you go ask him yourself, Grandpa? Just then, the men in the courtyard began to move. 12 guards lifted the sedan chair and departed. A few other guards carried away one of the confiscated chests, while another squad remained to watch over the seized items. Nanko's sharp eyes saw that the chest they took contained her father's paintings. A wave of relief washed over her. If Prince Xuan took the paintings, he would definitely compare the handwriting. The family spent the rest of the day in anxious uncertainty. Suddenly, a woman walked in, smiling as she greeted the guards. Gentlemen, thank you for your hard work. I am the wife of Zhao Hong from the censorate, and I've brought some food for my sister. Hearing that voice, Nanko's little fists clenched. It was her aunt, Song Hui, the reborn villainess from the book. Since they hadn't been exiled according to the original plot, her aunt had clearly gotten nervous. Song Hui's voice was choked with emotion. Sister, you must have been so scared. I'm here now, don't worry. She opened a food container and handed a pastry to Nanko. Keke, you must be starving. Look what Auntie brought you, your favorite sweet chestnut cakes. They were just baked today. Go on, eat. Nanko took the cake and studied Song Hui. She used to think her aunt was so wonderful, so elegant and confident, unlike her own mother who just cried at the first sign of trouble. But after her dream, she understood one thing. When it came down to life and death, the person who seemed as soft as dough was the one who would die to protect you, while the person who seemed perfect could smile as they pushed you into an abyss. Her hand tightened, crushing the soft cake into crumbs. She looked up and saw Songhui offering another plate of pastries to the Marquis. The Marquise was full of gratitude, shooting a dark look at Song Yi and Nanko. See? Family is family. No one would just stand by and watch you suffer. A glint appeared in Songhui's eyes. What does that mean, my lord? Were you worried that if something happened to your family, we would immediately cut ties? My husband works at the censorate. At the very least, he can get a message to the right people. The Marquis snorted as he ate. It's not that we didn't want to ask for your help. It's that someone said Mr. Zhao had his eye on my son's painting, and when he wouldn't give it up, they worried Mr. Zhao would hold a grudge. Oh, that's a terrible misunderstanding, Songhui said, clutching her chest, and looking at Song Yi with a pained expression. Sister, how could you think that about my husband? He's always been so kind and generous. He's not a petty man. Song Yi wiped her tears, her face flushing. I was just so scared and panicked at the time, I wasn't thinking straight. Songhui gripped her hand tightly. Oh, my dear sister, you were being so foolish. Why didn't you come to us for help? And who did you ask instead? You didn't ask Prince Xuan, did you? The Marquis grumbled. It was Prince Xuan, all right. Songhui gasped, then covered her mouth. Sister, you fool! Prince Xuan is unpredictable and violent. He killed his own mother and brother at a young age. He's not going to show us any mercy. Song Yi turned pale, her body trembling. She clutched her sister's hand. Then what do we do? My husband is already trying to pull some strings. Listen to me, sister. How much money do you have on you? Give it all to me so I can bribe the right people. Money? We don't have any. They've taken everything. What about the shops from your dowry? You can't leave right now. Give me your personal seal and I'll go for you. I'll withdraw all the cash from the shops before the Imperial Guard seals them. Sobbing, Song Yi reached for the pouch at her waist. A small, chubby hand suddenly closed over hers. Li Nanko's clear voice rang out, Mommy! Nanko threw herself into her mother's arms, her face tilted up and her lip trembling pitifully. Mommy, I'm hungry. Songhui was just about to get the seal when Nanko interrupted. She was annoyed but forced herself to be patient. Keikei, be a good girl. Eat some chestnut cakes. I'm talking to your mommy about how to save your daddy. Nanko turned to her, blinking her big, round eyes. Auntie, did you forget that Mommy and I get rashes and swollen lips when we eat chestnuts? You always say you care so much about us, but I guess you were just teasing me. A strange feeling pricked at Song Yi. She had been allergic to chestnuts since she was a child, and her daughter had inherited it. She had mentioned it to her sister more than once, but it seemed she had completely forgotten. Songhui looked awkward for a second, then quickly smiled and switched the plates. Of course I remember. How could I forget? You and your mother can't eat chestnuts. I just got mixed up in all the excitement. This plate of plum blossom cakes is for you two. Song Yi's eyes flickered. She remembered her sister had offered the chestnut cakes to Kiki first, even emphasizing they were baked today. It didn't seem like a mistake. Sister, about what I was saying, Songhui pressed. Nanko swallowed a bite of plum blossom cake and looked at Songhui curiously. Auntie, do you and Uncle believe Daddy was framed? Songhui was losing her patience, but forced a nod. Yes, of course. That's why I'm telling your mother to get the money to save him. Relatives should help each other. Nanko nodded earnestly, looking as obedient as could be. Auntie says relatives should help each other, so why can't Uncle just help Daddy directly? Why does he need money? If we don't have money, will Uncle not help save Daddy? Oh, I get it. You and Uncle just want our money. Songhui was so shocked she almost lunged to cover Nanko's mouth. But Song Yi stopped her. Sister, what are you doing? Songhui hid the jealousy in her eyes and took a step back, forcing a sad smile. Children say the darndest things. You don't think that's what I meant, do you, sister? Song Yi tightened her grip on her daughter, her lips pressed into a thin line. At first, her daughter's words sounded like a child's outburst, But the more she thought about it, the more sense it made. If a relative truly wanted to help, they would just help. Why would they immediately ask for money? Seeing her sister's silence, Song Hui's heart sank, but she kept her voice soft. Sister, you don't get out much, so you don't understand how things work. You can't ask for favors without spending money to smooth the way. Nanko quickly thought it over. By stopping her mother from writing the letter, she'd prevented her aunt and uncle from using it as false evidence. So now her aunt was trying to trick her mother into giving them money, so they could frame them for bribery. She looked at Song Yi with a troubled expression. Mommy, didn't you say the shops have been losing money lately? Song Yi caught on immediately, a bitter smile on her face. Yes, my dowry shops have been in the red all year. I haven't made a single coin. Nanko stepped forward and looked up at Song Hui hopefully. Auntie, since you're so sincere about helping us, why don't you lend us the money first? Song Hui wasn't an idiot. She wasn't about to use her own money. She forced a strained smile. I'd love to, but unfortunately we're a little short on cash ourselves. She turned to the Marquise. Don't you think my sister is lying to me? How could the shops just happen to be losing money this year? I think she's just being stingy and is ready to give up on her husband. The Marquis chimed in. Your sister is right. Stop wasting time and do as she says. Even if Prince Xuan made you a promise, he's not going to actually lift a finger to help. Nanko trotted over to her grandfather and held out her small hand. Grandpa, do you have any money on you? We need it to save Daddy. The Marquise turned away. I don't have any money. But Mommy doesn't have any money either, and you're still trying to force her to get some. Do you know a secret way to make money appear, Grandpa? If you do, you should make some now so we can save Daddy. Her innocent voice and guileless expression completely shut the Marquis up. What does a kid know? Go away. Nanko threw herself into Song Yi's arms, sobbing. Mommy, what are we going to do? We don't have any money to save Daddy. Song Hui was fuming, for the first time finding Song Yi difficult to deal with. Just then, a guard captain appeared at the door to escort her out. She quickly stood up to leave, her face a mask of concern. Don't worry, sister. I'll go home and have my husband think of another way. Nanko was secretly thrilled. Her mother no longer trusted Song Hui. Once her father was safe, she would reveal the truth about her aunt's family. Song Hui left the manor in a rage, her expression instantly darkening. This isn't right! She didn't understand what had gone wrong. Why wasn't the plot following her memories from her past life? Suddenly, an idea struck her. If she couldn't get the real letter, she would forge one. She refused to believe she couldn't ruin them. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Shen Tong leaned back in an armchair, glancing at the documents on the table. He raised an eyebrow at the row of censors standing before him. This is the evidence you found of Li Mu's corruption? One of the censors stepped forward. Yes, Your Highness. We received an anonymous tip that Li Mu was accepting bribes and substandard goods. We found the goods in the warehouse, and the entry logs were all signed by him. We compared the signature to the daily sign in sheets, and the handwriting is a match. Shen Tong looked up, his narrow eyes fixed on the man. And you are? The chief censor answered. This is Zhao Hong, a new imperial censor who was transferred here last month. I was going to have him recuse himself since he is Li Mu's brother-in-law, but Censor Zhao insisted on taking on the responsibility. He was very efficient in his investigation. Zhao Hong's lips curled into a smirk. Prince Xuan must be impressed with me. This could be my chance for a promotion. You have the heart to righteously turn in your own family, but you lack the brains to back it up. In a word, foolish. The smile on Zhao Hong's face froze, making his mouth look crooked. Your Highness, why would you say such a thing? Did Li Mu ever confess to the crime? No criminal ever admits to their crime. Did you compare the handwriting? It matches the sign and sheet. That's enough to confirm it. Erfang. Erfang produced 2 documents and placed them on the table. Gentlemen, what differences do you see in the handwriting? The chief censor carefully compared the letter and the painting. The writing was fluid and elegant. The writing in the ministry's ledger, however, was rounded and neat. They didn't look like they were written by the same person. Zhao Hong frowned. Even if the handwriting is different, that doesn't prove Li Mu is innocent. Perhaps he's skilled in 2 different styles of writing. Shen Kong's eyes snapped open, a cold light glinting in them. Does the censorate base its investigations on evidence or speculation? Zhao Hong's face stiffened. I misspoke, Your Highness. Shen Kong tapped the painting. Li Mu's grandfather was named Li Chen. To observe the naming taboo, whenever Li Mu writes the character Chen, he intentionally leaves out one stroke. Take a look at the sign-in sheets and the warehouse ledgers. Is the stroke missing from the Chen character in the time entries? Zhao Hong and the chief censor leaned in. On the painting, the character Chen was indeed missing a stroke, but on the official documents it was written completely. The chief censor spoke up. Could it be that Li Mu really was framed? Zhao Hong's face darkened. Impossible! Who would report him? He's just a minor warehouse official. He must have been guilty. Just then, a servant's voice came from the door. Mr. Zhao, a letter has arrived from your home. It's for official business. Zhao Hong's eyes lit up. He quickly opened the letter and smiled. Things are going even better than I thought. He presented the letter to Shen Kong. This is a letter of appeal written by Li Mu's wife, Lady Song herself. In it, she confesses on his behalf and asks me to help him. Shen Kong glanced at the letter, his pale fingers drumming on the table. Bring in Li Mu. Soon Li Mu was brought in. He was a handsome, slender man, and even in his white prison robes, he had a scholarly air. Zhao Hong's expression was grave. Li Mu, your wife has confessed for you. We have her letter as proof. Do you have anything else to say? Li Mu's brows shot up in anger. My wife and I are kindred spirits. She knows my character better than anyone. She would never write some confession letter for me. Zhao Hong's face was dark as he threw the letter at him. This is your wife's handwriting. See for yourself. Li Mu picked it up, glanced at it, and burst out laughing. This handwriting is so ugly it could never be my wife's. Her writing is elegant and neat, not like this mess. Besides, my wife always uses her personal seal on her letters. Shen Kong, who had been silent, raised an eyebrow. Proof? Li Mu stepped forward and fumbled in his robes, pulling out a small pouch. Inside was a collection of papers folded into heart shapes. Your Highness, please see for yourself. These are poems my wife wrote to me. They have her signature and her personal seal. Shen Kong opened one, and after reading it, passed it to the two men below. The chief censor examined it and declared, they were indeed written by two different people. Shen Kong's voice was thin. Why does the handwriting on your sign and sheets and warehouse ledgers look completely different from your letters? How do you explain that? Li Mu opened his mouth, seemed to remember something, and then shut it again. A flicker of impatience crossed Shen Kong's pale face, his voice sharp. I despise liars. Li Mu, this is your only chance. Tell the truth, or your entire family will be executed. Li Mu panicked. I'll confess everything. A few days ago, my wife came down with a sudden illness and was bedridden. We are deeply in love, and I wanted to stay by her side to care for her, so I was unable to go to work. Shen Kong's brow twitched as if he was struggling to maintain his composure. So? Li Mu hung his head and mumbled. So, I asked someone to sign the ministry's records for me. Zhao Hong's face trembled with rage. Li Mu, that's dereliction of duty. Shen Kong shot him a cold look. And this is the major corruption case the censorate has been investigating? You are responsible for overseeing all officials, yet you conduct your investigations like a farce, with flimsy evidence and sloppy work. You're all style and no substance, not just foolish, but incompetent. Zhao Hong's face went white and he dropped to his knees. It's over. My career is over. He returned home in a daze. The moment he walked in, Song Hui rushed to greet him, her face full of anticipation. How did it go? With the letter, is Li Mu's corruption charge confirmed? Zhao Hong shoved her away, his voice shaking with fury. You have the nerve to ask me that? What was with that letter? Why wasn't it in your sister's handwriting? Did she trick you? Song Hui stumbled, her back hitting the edge of a table. Tears welled in her eyes. How is that possible? Song Yi's handwriting is terrible. I've been able to imitate it perfectly since we were children. What? You forged the letter? Zhao Hong was stunned. What were you thinking? Song Hui couldn't explain the truth, so she mumbled, That idiot Song Yi was so scared by the raid she was just crying and couldn't even hold a brush. I had no choice but to write it for her. I'm sure my forgery was perfect. How could they have seen through it? Zhao Hong was livid. You call that perfect? The prince had love poems that Li Mu and Song Yi wrote to each other. The two sets of handwriting were completely different. Anyone who wasn't blind could tell. Prince Xuan called me incompetent. You've completely ruined my chances for promotion. Song Hui was stunned. In her previous life after the raid, Zhao Hong had been promoted 2 ranks because of this incident. A sense of panic washed over her. She felt like things were spinning out of her control, but she couldn't figure out why. She covered her face and began to cry. Are you blaming me? All these years I've worked so hard for you, for our future. And now, after one failure, you blame me. I should have just kept my mouth shut. Zhao Hong pinched the bridge of his nose, his patience wearing thin. But Song Hui always seemed to know things before they happened. She had helped him avoid many pitfalls and build an impressive record. He had been promoted twice in the few years since he'd married her, and even his transfer to the capital was thanks to her. She was a lucky charm. Thinking of this, he suppressed his anger and comforted her. Song Hui's tears stopped, and she leaned against his shoulder, but her heart was in turmoil. In her past life, she had been Li Mu's wife for 8 years, and he had never written her a single poem. Why did Song Yi get them? Even more terrifying, why were things different from her memories? She had to figure out what was going on. That evening, Shen Kong was reclining on his couch drinking his medicine. Feng was sighing beside him. Li Mu is a lucky man to have such a clever daughter. The edict for their exile had already been issued, but that little girl managed to turn everything around. It's like she tore up the edict to save her family. Of course. His greatest luck was that Your Highness was willing to help. You knew he was innocent the moment you saw the love poem, didn't you? The medicine bowl suddenly flew through the air. You talk too much. Shen Kong stood up, shooting him a cold look. I was just trying to find a tasty lunch for Shuiying. At the words tasty lunch, Shuiying's head shot up, its big watery eyes shining. The prince is as stubborn as a rock, Feng thought. Shen Kong snorted, threw on his cloak, and walked out. Before a delicious meal, one must fast. Starve him for a day. We'll go to the Marquise of Anping's manor tomorrow afternoon to pick up the little girl. Zhuing let out a mournful whine and hung its head. Feng patted its head sympathetically. The prince is punishing you for getting friendly with that little girl yesterday. Poor thing. Try to be a little smarter next time. Feng hurried after the prince. Your Highness, are you really going to feed that cute little girl to Zhuing? Shen Cong didn't even look at him. What else? Save her for New Year's? In the Marquise of Anping's manor, Li Nanko sneezed and woke up with a start. The sky was already bright. The whole family had slept in the side hall, with her grandparents crammed onto the small couch. Song Yi's voice trembled. KK, look outside! An imperial edict has arrived! The sharp voice of a eunuch woke everyone in the hall as the manor gates were opened once again. Look at the mess you've made, the Marquise roared. If you hadn't gone to Prince Xuan, would the exile edict have come so quickly? And that disgrace of a son, he's dragged us all down with him. On the road to exile, I'll kill the 3 of you first. The Marquise's wife retorted, Why are you scaring them? If we're to be exiled, then that is our family's fate. We deserve this. The Marquis was furious. You dare talk back to me? That useless son of ours is your fault. You spoiled him rotten. The Marquise trembled with anger and began to cough violently. Grandma, don't be angry! Nanko ran to her side and gently patted her back. She turned to her grandfather, her round eyes flashing with anger. In her dream, the moment the exile order came, her grandfather had beaten her father. On the second day of the exile, when her grandmother was beaten to death protecting her, he had just stood by and watched. Remembering this, Nanko's voice choked. The eunuch hasn't even read the edict yet. How can you be so sure it's for our exile? The Marquis scoffed. Only exile edicts are delivered before the morning court session. Besides, the guards who will escort us are already here. It's no use being scared. You can blame your useless father for dragging us all down with him. Nanko said, What if it's not for our exile? Maybe Prince Xuan has already proven Daddy is innocent. If your father is innocent, then it'll snow in June. The Marquis sneered. If we're exiled, it's every man for himself. It was your father's mistake, so you 3 can suffer the consequences. Don't come begging us for help. Nanko tilted her head up defiantly. And if we're not exiled, will it still be every man for himself? The Marquis glanced at the eunuch approaching the hall. He was wearing a plain blue robe, the kind worn to announce punishments. He shot Nanko an annoyed look. If you're that lucky, then you can be in charge of this family from now on. Nanko's eyes lit up. Deal! Marquis of Anping, will you receive the edict? The eunuch's shrill voice called from outside. The Marquis shoved Nanko out of his way and strode out. By the grace of heaven, the Emperor proclaims, Li Mu, heir to the Marquis of Anping, has neglected his duties and failed the Emperor's trust. He is hereby stripped of his position, sentenced to 30 strokes of the cane, and fined 5,000 taels of silver. He will be released upon the conclusion of the case. The Marquis of Anping, for his failure to raise his son properly, will be fined 1 year's salary and receive 20 lashes. A wide smile spread across Nanko's face. Mommy, did you hear that? Daddy didn't take any bribes. We're not being exiled. Song Yi nodded over and over, covering her mouth as she sobbed with relief. Nanko hugged her mother's arm, her own nose tingling, her heart soared. She had done it. Her family was safe. Only the Marquis was furious. That disgrace, he's dragged me. The eunuch's face hardened. Is the Marquis displeased with His Majesty's judgment? The Marquis went pale and quickly dropped to his knees. I would not dare! The eunuch smiled. His Majesty has decreed that the fine is to be paid to the Ministry of Revenue, but the Marquis's lashing will be administered here, in front of the manor, as a lesson. The Marquis valued his reputation above all else. To be whipped in public was worse than death. After the 20 lashes, he wanted nothing more than to faint on the spot. But he knew that would be even more humiliating, so he gritted his teeth and, with his back bleeding, stumbled back into the courtyard. He was met by Li Nanko, who was looking up at him, her round face serious. From now on, I'm in charge of this house. A man of your word, right, Grandpa? The last bit of strength the Marquis had mustered vanished. He let out a choked sound, fell flat on his face, and passed out. The head maid of Song Yi's courtyard, Chen Mama, came to report. Someone from the Song family is here. They said the master and mistress are very worried and have asked you and the young miss to visit. Song Yi replied, Yesterday was the Mid-Autumn Festival. I should have visited my parents. They must be so worried. Kiki, go get ready. We'll go see your grandparents. Nanko went to her room to change. When she came back out, she was stunned by Song Yi's outfit. She was wearing a dark brown jacket over a mouse gray skirt, her hair in a high bun held by a dark green jade pin. Nanko's brow furrowed. Mommy, you should change. That doesn't look good on you at all. This is what I always wear when I visit my parents. Chen Mama said it looks good, that it's dignified and elegant, Song Yi said, tugging at her jacket. Nanko glanced at Chen Mama, who was peeking in from the doorway, and puffed out her cheeks. Chen Mama had been her mother's nanny and had come with her to the Marquis's manor. She managed her mother's entire courtyard and had her complete trust. But after her dream, Nanko knew Chen Mama's true loyalty lay with her step-grandmother. She had seen Chen Mama pack her bags and return to the Song family the day they were exiled. Nanko took Song Yi's hand and pulled her into the inner room. Can I help you get ready today? Song Yi smiled and pinched her cheek. Of course, sweetie. I'll listen to you. Nanko opened Song Yi's wardrobe. Almost everything was either dark blue or dark brown. She rummaged through it and finally found a set of clothes tucked away at the very bottom. Her eyes lit up. Mommy, wear this! Chen Mama frowned. That's much too bright. It looks frivolous and undignified, not suitable for the mistress. Besides, the young master is still being held at the censorate. If the mistress dresses so flamboyantly, what will people think? Song Yi looked at Nanko, troubled. She's right. I'm over 20 now. Bright colors don't suit me anymore. Maybe I should just wear what I have on. Nanko was sad, but not angry. Her mother's own mother had died when she was young. Her current grandmother was a stepmother who was a master of appearances but had never truly cared for her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have allowed a servant like Chen Mama to mislead her mother with such twisted ideas about how to dress. Nanko looked up, her round eyes filling with tears. She let out a loud sob. But I don't think it's too bright at all. It's just a normal color, and you look so pretty in it. You trust Chan Mama more than you trust me. You don't love me. The sight of her daughter's tears broke Song Yi's heart. Of course I love you more than anyone. Don't cry, I'll listen to you, okay? Really? Then from now on, I get to pick out your clothes. Nanko's tears vanished as quickly as they had come. She pushed her mother behind a screen to change. When she came out, Nanko's eyes widened. She pushed her mother in front of a mirror. Mommy, look! Song Yi felt a little self-conscious, tugging at her skirt. Are you sure this looks okay, sweetie? Nanko nodded enthusiastically. Of course! You're the prettiest person in the whole world. Chan Mama was not pleased. The young miss is just a child. How can the mistress indulge her like this? If you dress so frivolously, it will affect the young miss's reputation. How will she ever find a husband? Song Yi went pale. Maybe I should change back. This Chan Mama is trying to use me to threaten my mother. Nanko was not happy. Chan Mama, come here. I have something to say to you. The maid walked over, looking down at her. What is it, young miss? Nanko opened the lid of a teapot and flung its contents in the maid's face. It was all done in one smooth motion. Caught completely off guard, Chan Mama was soaked. I can't bear this humiliation. I've served the mistress my whole life, only to be insulted like this by the young miss. I might as well just ram my head into a wall and die, she wailed, making a show of running toward the wall. Chan Mama, no! Song Yi cried, rushing to stop her. But Nanko held her back. Don't worry, Mommy. She's just trying to threaten you. Have you ever seen someone who really wants to die announce it with such a performance first? The tears in Song Yi's eyes froze. She's right. Who announces they're going to kill themselves? Whenever she and Chen Mama disagreed, the maid would always cry and threaten to kill herself. She'd done it so many times, but she'd never once actually run into a wall. Seeing that Song Yi wasn't rushing to comfort her as usual, a flicker of malice crossed Chen Mama's eyes. Not daring to actually run into the wall, she just wailed, What did I do wrong to make the young miss throw hot tea on me? Nanko smiled innocently. Qian, Mama, your eyes are bad. I was just trying to wash them for you. My eyes are perfectly fine. Nanko pointed to Song Yi's dress. If your eyes are so good, why did you think that brown dress looked good on Mommy? If your eyes are so good, why do you think these bright colors look frivolous? Open your eyes and look at how pretty she is. You're just lying. So I was trying to help. Do your eyes feel any clearer now, Chen Mama? Chen Mama wanted to curse. But seeing Nanko's "I've got another pot right here" expression, she swallowed her words and mumbled, a little clearer. Then take a good look. Does Mommy's dress look pretty? Does it still look frivolous? Chen Mama practically ground the word out through her teeth. Pretty. Nanko clapped her hands happily. See, Mommy? Washing her eyes with hot tea worked. She can see properly now. A shiver went down Chen Mama's spine. For years, the old mistress's orders had been to make Song Yi look as plain and ugly as possible. It had always been an easy task. Why was it so difficult today? Nanko smiled and took Song Yi's hand, leading her out. This was just the beginning. Chen Mama had bullied her mother for years and done many terrible things behind her back. She was going to get revenge for every single one of them. In the carriage, Song Yi held her daughter and thought about what had just happened. Keke, do you really think the clothes in my wardrobe are ugly? Nanko hugged her arm and nodded seriously, reaching up to touch her mother's face. Of course. You're only 26, Mommy. You're at your most beautiful. You have such fair skin. You should wear bright colors to look elegant. Those dark blues and grays just make you look old and sallow. Song Yi's brow furrowed. Then why did Qian Mama say those colors were dignified and elegant? Nanko told her the truth. Chen Mama was lying to you. Grandma did that so you wouldn't outshine Auntie. She had Chen Mama put you down and make you wear old-fashioned clothes. Song Yi's mouth fell open in shock. Soon, they arrived at the Song family home. The mistress, a woman named Zhang, rushed out to greet them, her face etched with worry. My dear daughter, I was so worried about you. Thank heavens you're all safe. Song Yi felt the familiar warmth of her stepmother's concern, and the tension in her face eased. I'm sorry to have worried you, Mother. A flicker of something passed through Jung's eyes. Why did Chan Mama dress you in such an outfit? You're too old to be wearing such flashy clothes. It makes you look frivolous. Song Yi's mouth fell open. She stared at her stepmother in shock. Jang frowned, her voice rising. What are you thinking about? Did you hear me? Song Yi snapped back to reality. I heard you, mother. Not getting the repentant response she expected, Jung's frown deepened. I have a new gray and brown dress that I had made for your sister. You can go change into that. Remember, you should dress your age. A dignified appearance is what earns you respect. Song Yi's hands clenched. If she changed, she would be letting them control her again. She didn't want that. Just then, Nanko smiled and pointed. Auntie's here! Jung smiled. Your sister was so worried about you. She must have heard you were here and rushed right over. Nanko winked at her mother. Song Yi took a few steps forward and held the gray dress out to Song Hui. Here, sister, this is for you. I don't want it. Song Hui started to refuse. But Jang whispered in her ear, Your sister's outfit is inappropriate. I offered her the dress I had made for you. Just play along and trick her into changing into something ugly. It will make you look better. Song Hui immediately understood and smiled. If it was a gift for you, sister, you should wear it. We're sisters. We don't need to be so formal. Song Yi shook her head and offered the dress again. My husband gave me this outfit. He is being punished today, and I'm wearing this to pray for him. I can't change. Mother said this dress is lovely, so I wouldn't want to take it from you. Nanko clapped her hands and pointed at Song Hui's dress. Grandma said Mommy is too old to dress so frivolously. Auntie is the same age as Mommy, so why is she dressed so frivolously too? Song Yi frowned, her expression serious. She's right, sister. Your dress is much too bright today. It looks frivolous and undignified. You should change immediately. Song Hui's smile twitched. I was in a hurry and didn't have time to choose my clothes. Let's just talk. Nanko looked up at Jung, her face a mask of confusion. When Mommy was dressed inappropriately, you made her change right away. But now that Auntie is dressed inappropriately, you're not making her change. Is it because you don't love Auntie? Jang's heart clenched. What can I say to that? If she didn't make Song Hui change, she knew Song Yi wouldn't let it go. She couldn't understand how, after manipulating Song Yi for over 20 years, she had managed to trap herself. She shot Song Hui a look. Song Hai understood her mother's signal, and, with a dark expression, went to change into the gray and brown dress. When she came back, she immediately started probing. When the manor was being raided, what made you think to ask Prince Xuan for help? Did someone give you the idea? The teacup in Song Yi's hand trembled. She knew the answer to this one. Keki had coached her in the carriage. Nanko gave her mother a playful smile. Song Yi said, No one told me. I was just so scared I was out of my mind. I saw the Imperial Guard and just wanted to beg for mercy. It could have been a dog walking by, and I would have begged it for help. Song Hui's face hardened. She had gone to the manor later. Is she calling me a dog? But then she saw the tears in Song Yi's eyes and her lost expression, and she frowned. What about the love poem? Did Prince Xuan ask you for it? Song Yi nodded. Of course. I never would have thought of it otherwise. Why do you ask, sister? Do you have a favor to ask of the prince? Song Hui told herself she was overthinking things and shook her head with a smile. No. I just heard from my husband that the prince produced your husband's love poem at the censorate yesterday and used it to clear his name. Song Yi, who hadn't known what had happened, looked shocked. Oh, my husband. How could he show our poems to other people? How embarrassing. Song Hui's expression tightened. My husband was there. He said your handwriting is lovely. Have you been practicing all these years? Song Yi blushed. My handwriting isn't very good. My husband helps me practice every day. He even guides my hand. I don't want to disappoint him, so I have to practice hard. Song Hui's smile cracked. He helps her practice every day? He guides her hand? Why hadn't Li Mu ever done that for her when she was his wife? Nanko saw the cracks in Song Hui's facade and smiled innocently. Auntie, you look so angry. Is it because Uncle doesn't help you practice your writing? Why doesn't he? Is it because he doesn't like you? The smile on Song Hui's face vanished completely. She nearly threw her teacup. Zhao Hong, though a scholar, was not a romantic. His mind was filled with nothing but his career and his future. He would never write her a poem or help her practice her writing. The tears that had been welling in Song Yi's eyes finally fell. Mother, sister, how could this have happened to us? Some vile, heartless person must be trying to ruin us. Who could be so cruel as to want our whole family dead? Song Hui wondered if Song Yi knew they were the ones who had framed Li Mu, but Song Yi was just sobbing, her eyes full of confusion as she begged, "Please ask your husband to help. If he can get us the anonymous letter that was used to report my husband, that would be for the best." Song Hui's teeth ached. Who is testing who here? Zhang quickly intervened. "The letter is at the censorate, but it wouldn't be right for your brother-in-law to abuse his position. I'll have him look into it for you." Throughout the meal, Zhang and Song Hui were distracted. No matter how she looked at her, Song Yi seemed to be the same fool she had always been. So who had ruined her perfect plan? Could it have been Li Nanko? Nanko saw Song Hui looking at her and blinked her big round eyes, offering her a chicken leg that had been picked clean. "This chicken is so good, Auntie. You can have the bone." Song Hui shook her head, a forced smile on her face. She laughed at herself for even considering it. Li Nanko was only 8, all she cared about was food and fun. It seemed that even though she had lived through it once, the future could still change. She would have to be more careful from now on. After the meal, they didn't stay long. The moment they were back in the carriage, the tears Song Yi had been holding back finally fell. "It was my sister and her husband who framed him, and they wanted to take our money." "Why? Why would they do this to me?" Nanko knelt in the carriage and wrapped her arms around her mother's neck, rubbing her cheek against hers. "Don't be scared, Mommy. You still have me and Daddy. We'll always protect you." Suddenly, they heard the sound of horses neighing, and the carriage came to an abrupt halt. Song Yi instinctively held Nanko tight to keep her from falling, then called out to the driver, "Why have we stopped?" A voice came from outside. "I am Zhang Erfeng, a guard from Prince Xuan's household. I am here on the prince's orders to collect Li Nanko to be fed to the dogs." Song Yi clutched Nanko tightly, sobbing. "My daughter is still so young. Take me instead. Please, I beg you, spare my daughter's life." Erfeng's bearded face was a mask of reluctance. "The prince has ordered me to bring Li Nanko to him immediately. Please, my lady, don't make this difficult for me." Nanko struggled out of her mother's arms and gave Erfeng a cheerful wave. "Hello, sir. It's nice to see you again. Could you please give me a moment to take care of a couple of things? Then I'll come to the prince's residence myself. Is that okay?" Song Ai was terrified. "KK, no!" Nanko squeezed her mother's hand and gave her a small shake of her head. Erfeng frowned. Nanko quickly raised her hand in a pledge. "I swear I'll keep my word. If I'm not at the prince's residence in half an hour, you can come and get me yourself." Such an adorable little girl, about to become lunch for Shueying. What a shame. The prince is too cruel. Erfeng sighed to himself and nodded. "You have half an hour. If you're not there, I'll come for you myself." "Thank you, sir. You're such a good person," Nanko said with a smile, pressing her hands together in a small bow. Erfeng couldn't help but smile, though he sighed again internally. He turned and left. Song Yi grabbed Nanko, crying, "KK, don't be scared. I'll go in your place. I won't let that dog hurt you." Nanko believed her, but she couldn't let her mother go. If they truly angered Prince Xuan, not even all their heads combined would be enough. "Don't worry, Mommy. I have a plan. Besides, the goddess is watching over me. I won't really be eaten by a dog." At that moment in Prince Xuan's residence, Shen Kong was lying on a veranda, a faint flush on his pale cheeks, his eyes full of malice. "You really believe a little girl would walk in here to be killed? Zhang Erfeng, did you leave your brain at home today?" Erfeng was on his knees, cold sweat dripping from his forehead. "I was wrong, Your Highness. Please punish me." Shen Kong snorted. "You have half an hour. If the girl isn't here by then, you can go and receive 20 lashes yourself." "Yes, Your Highness." Erfeng knelt, not daring to move. The sun began to set. Half an hour was almost up, and Li Nanko had not arrived. Shen Kong sneered. "Tricked by an 8-year-old girl. Zhang Erfeng, do you accept your punishment?" Erfeng hung his head. I accept it, Your Highness. Just as he spoke, a bright voice called from the courtyard. Mr. Erfeng, I'm here. A flicker of surprise crossed the young prince's eyes. Is she foolish or just naive? Erfeng's face was not surprised, only relieved. But that relief was quickly followed by a pang of pity. Li Nanko walked up to Shen Kong with a smile and knelt. Li Nanko of the Marquis of Anping's household greets Your Highness. Shen Kong barely opened his eyes. Throw her to Zhuoying. Erfeng sighed and gestured to Nanko. Come with me. Just a second, Mr. Erfeng. Let me get my things, Nanko chirped. She scrambled to her feet, ran to the gate, and took a basket that came up to her waist from one of the guards. She struggled to carry it, stumbling halfway across the courtyard, before setting it down. She looked up at Erfeng with wide, innocent eyes. Mr. Erfeng, this basket is very heavy. Erfeng's heart softened. He took the basket from her. I'll carry it for you. Nanko's eyes curved into crescent moons. You really are a good person, Mr. Erfeng. Erfeng felt even worse. She was such an adorable little girl with such a sweet voice and a cute face. How could the prince bear to feed her to Zhuoying? He made a decision. He placed the basket at the gate to Zhuoying's enclosure and said, Wait here, I'll be right back. He was going to beg the prince to spare her, even if it meant being whipped himself. Who could stand to watch such a cute little girl be eaten by a dog? It was too cruel. He turned and strode away, leaving Nanko standing there, confused. Why did he look so grim? Was it because he couldn't bear to watch her being fed to a dog? Zhuoying was a powerful beast, its short, thick fur, like armor in the afternoon sun. The sight of Li Nanko made its tired eyes, listless from a day and night of starvation, light up. Its body tensed, its ears perked up, and it let out a low, eager growl. The basket fell from Nanko's hands, and her face went pale. She had seen Zhuoying like this in her dream. She knew this was the excitement of a predator that had been starved for 2 days and had finally found its prey. The reality hit her. Prince Xuan really intended to feed her to his dog. Nanko gave a small, pathetic wave. Zhuoying, you're a very smart and powerful dog, right? Can we talk about this? Can you please not eat me? Zhuoying let out a sharp bark, and with a powerful leap, launched itself at her. Just then, Prince Xuan and Erfeng arrived. Erfeng's jaw dropped. Your Highness, look, Zhuoying! Shen Kong's expression was unreadable as he glanced into the enclosure, his eyes narrowing. Good boy, Zhuoying. You see how cute I am. You can't bear to eat me, right? The little girl spread her hands, her face beaming like a sunflower. We have a deal, okay? You can eat this me on the ground. This me is delicious, I promise. 100 times more delicious than the real me. The me on the ground? Erfeng choked back a laugh and whispered, It's not exactly a perfect copy, but it's remarkably lifelike. Nanko was happily negotiating with the dog. Which part do you want to eat first, Zhuoying? My head? No, that's a little cruel. Maybe you should start with the leg. Shen Kong snorted and strode into the enclosure. You're small, but you have a lot of nerve trying to fool me with a dummy. Nanko knelt properly, her grape-like eyes blinking. I'm not trying to fool you, Your Highness. You said that Zhuoying likes rich, tender meat. I went to every market in the city to find the richest, most tender piece of meat I could. Shen Kong didn't even glance at it, just stared at her coldly. Nanko's hands clenched nervously. I did agree to feed Zhuoying, but I never said I would feed it my own flesh. And Your Highness never specified that it had to be me, did you? Erfeng's eyes lit up. No one had ever managed to find a loophole in the prince's words before. This little girl was the first. Shen Kong leaned down, his face inches from hers. Are you exploiting the loopholes in my words? Nanko's round eyes blinked innocently. There are no loopholes, Your Highness. This is just how I understood it. Since we're feeding Zhuoying, why don't we let him choose? Shen Kong's eyes narrowed. He looked at the dog, a silent threat in his gaze. Zhuoying whimpered and turned away, only to be met with Nanko's smiling face. Come on, cute Zhuoying, you choose. Which meat do you want to eat? I prepared this one myself. It's delicious and nutritious. Zhuoying looked from Shen Kong to Nanko, then let out another pathetic whine. Finally, unable to resist, it snatched up the piece of meat. Nanko's eyes lit up and she clapped her hands. See, Your Highness? Zhuoying has made its choice. It likes this me better. Shuiying shivered as if sensing a wave of cold fury. It turned its back to Shen Kong and began to eat ravenously. Shen Kong's fingers twitched. He was so angry he almost laughed, to be tricked by a little girl. He swept his cloak aside, and with a flick of his wrist, a soft sword appeared in his hand. Nanko saw a flash of cold light as the blade swung toward her. Nanko's hands clenched her skirt, her body trembling uncontrollably. Shen Kong slowly crouched down. He flicked her forehead with his finger. His eyes were full of undisguised contempt. "I thought you weren't afraid. It seems you were just pretending." Nanko stared at him, too scared to speak. "If you're so scared, then tell me. What did the 2 words you wrote on that paper mean?" Nanko answered honestly. "I wrote the words Chang Sheng. It is the name of the first prince, the son of His Majesty the Emperor and Her Majesty the Empress, and your nephew. 6 years ago, the first prince was lost during a rebellion. I know you've been looking for him. You should try looking in the direction of Taizhou." Shen Kong's gaze grew sharper. 6 years ago, his sister-in-law had been fleeing the rebels with him and Chang Sheng. In the chaos, Chang Sheng had been lost. And now he was hearing about his nephew's whereabouts from an 8-year-old girl. "Speak. Is the Marquise's household conspiring with the rebels? How else would you know this?" Nanko burst into tears. "Your Highness, you know my father cares more about his family than his career. If we were conspiring with rebels, wouldn't we be trying to climb the ranks at court?" Shen Cong snorted, the sword not moving an inch. "If you're not with the rebels, then how do you know where Changsheng is?" Nanko's grape-like eyes blinked, her expression a mixture of pitiful and sincere. "That's my secret. You helped clear my father's name, and I gave you the information you wanted. The debt is paid. If you want to know my secret, you'll have to earn it with another favor." "I told you I despise bargaining. Are you trying to provoke me?" "I wouldn't dare, but you can cut off my head and I still won't tell you." Nanko's teeth were chattering. She squeezed her eyes shut, looking like she was ready to die. Shuiying's wet eyes darted back and forth. It suddenly lunged forward, knocking Nanko to the ground, and rubbing its head against her. Nanko patted Shuiying's head, and then sat back up, kneeling. Shuiying copied her, sitting on its haunches. They both knelt together before Shen Kong. Shen Kong was so angry he started to laugh. But the laugh turned into a series of harsh coughs. A trickle of dark red blood appeared between the fingers he held to his mouth. "Your Highness!" Erfeng cried, rushing to support him. "I'll get the physician!" Nanko frowned. In her dream, Shen Kong had been coughing up blood when he bought her. She hadn't realized it had started when he was only 12. Shen Kong was gasping for breath, his pale face tinged with red. "It's fine. Since Shuiying has saved you, I won't kill you for now. Tell me, where in Taizhou is he?" She blinked, then answered, "I'm not sure of the exact location, but he should be in the southern part of the city." "If your information is wrong, I will still kill you," Shen Kong said. He tossed the sword to Erfeng and turned to leave. Erfeng gave Nanko a thumbs up. "Not bad, kid. You've got guts. You're the first person to escape my master's sword. I'll have someone see you out. Put some medicine on that cut when you get home. It'll heal in a couple of days." Nanko gave him a sweet smile. "Thank you, Mr. Erfeng." Erfeng, not daring to linger, called a servant over and gave him some instructions before hurrying after the prince. Shen Song glanced at him. "You're happy I didn't kill her?" Erfeng grinned. "I don't think your Highness ever really intended to feed her to Shuiying, did you?" Shen Kong snorted. "Your thinking is a delusion." Erfeng continued, "She's just a child. If you wanted to know about the first prince, you could have just asked her. You didn't need to scare her like that." Shen Kong looked back at him. "Do you think she acts like an 8-year-old? "She's as sharp as they come." Erfeng had no reply. It was true. Most children her age would run and hide at the sight of the prince. But Li Nanko, though she had been pale with fear, had still dared to bargain with him. "Do you think her information is reliable, Your Highness? Should we send men to Taizhou? We've searched there before and found nothing." Shen Kong didn't hesitate. "Search. Focus on the southern part of the city in places we haven't looked before, and have a few men keep an eye on the Marquis of Anping's manor and Li Nanko." Erfeng nodded. "Yes, Your Highness. So the prince does care about her after all." Shen Kong's dark eyes narrowed. "Someone must have told her about my brother, or she overheard her family talking. Whatever the truth is, I will find it.